Thank you so much for stopping in. Um, this is kind of, a little out of, I really, no. What happened was this is a message that is kind of a confirmation for somebody, but it's also an initial message. And it's also kind of carrying on from some messages that we received. Probably, I don't know, I have to look back, but it's probably been at least 6 months since my universal source energy conglomerate had been giving us information about, as you recall, it was called, I think they called them the new observers. So that was, they have not addressed this topic for quite a long time. So now they bring it up again. I wanted to kind of give that lead in because it's unusual, but there's some information that we need to know now again. And so we don't need a series of them. They're just kind of checking in on tapping in back into that topic of the new observer. Anyway, this is the transmission I have for you today. As those who were of complete confidence that they were on the correct side of things, of the controlling, of the narrative, of the acceptance of the, began to realize the false front was eroding. Those are the ones that became the new observer, as you recall. You'll have to go back and listen to those. I'm going to continue. That they began to realize they were told that they have been, that maybe, just maybe, the confidence that they had was really just a manipulated to gain more and keep more control. Those of this grouping, the duped, the new observer, went into a living time where everything they knew was crumbling. They had no one to talk to about it. They began to get, they believed everyone was against them, that they were being, that they were being, just as those of you who were put through the same gauntlet that was driven by the false fronts, the same gauntlet done to you was now being done to those who were part of the scheme and in complete confidence. They have been going through a harsh reality check, the new observers. So we're kind of picking, this is me talking, they're kind of picking back up on the new observer. So they have been going through a harsh reality check. And they have been extremely uncomfortable, and they have no one to talk to anymore. They are isolated, just as you had been, and they are now lost souls. They may be in a series of losses: the loss of jobs, relationships, homes, loss of health, loss of subscribers, without knowing how they got to this point. But they do know, the controllers, who acted like they cared about the individual, do not care about them. They know that. And that is another harsh reality. Anger, outward anger, will result from the reality check. Then comes peace in knowing they did successfully untangle themselves from the control. It was tormenting. It was devastating to some. They have gone through the cycles of coming into a new realization. Many are in the phase of the lost soul. You see, individual sovereignty is wanted by the soul. This leads to a new era, harmony, vibration. There are many of humanity who will still need to go through the reality cycle. There are more in the vibration of individual sovereignty resonance than there were a mere 3 years ago. The transitionary revolution is always at work, working from the dominance era to the new era of harmony. And that's where the transmission ends. It might be something you want to do. This is now the transmission ended. It might be something you want to do to look back at the new observers group of transmissions that we did. But I think what this one is telling us is the new observers have gone through all of that transition and now they're lost. They don't have anything to rely on. There's no foundation for them anymore. And going through all of the realizations, it was harsh. They lost friends, they lost subscribers, they said. They lost people who follow them. They lost anyone they could talk to. Relationships were lost. Jobs were lost. I mean, they have been going through all of those things, but it's also the things that those who were aware of all of that control going on had gone through already. But those of you who have gone through it already, went through the gauntlet, they called it, you had a foundation because you had already trusted yourself. You had already believed that you, or were pretty sure that you have an intuition that you can rely on. Those people were just, I'm going to say, hook, line, and sinker into the control. But then they came into a realization and they lost everything. I mean, they have nothing to fall back on, nothing to rely on. And they're saying that there's a lot of people who are in that lost soul energy right now. And that is very, very sad. That is really sad. And then they said that, and so then anger was part of it. Anger was part of the reality check. So even though a big group has already gone through, or I don't even know how big a group, but a group has gone through the new observer stages, eventually they get to the anger, and then this transmission says then they come to peace in knowing that they have successfully untangled themselves from the control. And good thing, because it would be awful to think that you never come out of it. Of course, there are many that are probably looping around in it, loop, 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 and then it leads to the realization that we are each individual sovereign souls. And that the transmission said, individual sovereignty is wanted. We want that. Our soul being wants individual sovereignty. And that is what leads to harmony vibration. And that's really wonderful. So we're reminded that congratulations, if you're hearing this message, congratulations, because you've been through it and you are in the individual sovereignty level, or else I don't think this would get to you. I don't think this message would get to you. You're in the individual sovereignty, and now you're working on the harmony, the vibration of harmony. But also realize that there are more and more people that will be going through that whole cycle of new observers. Don't let it bother you. All you can do is be who you are and help them if they come to you. Or a lot of you have that energy that you came to the earth realm to put out the energy to help others without, one-on-one help. Do that. If you're one of those people, give them the energy. They have to go through it. I mean, they're not going to avoid going through it, but you can help them maybe not lose everything that they have in the physical, in the material world. I don't know what to think about the relationships, but that's really harsh. I mean, that is a really, really harsh thing where those of you who were put through the gauntlet, you were kind of forced to lose a lot of those things. You were forced to lose a lot of those things because you didn't follow the agenda. These people followed the agenda and now they have to work through it also. And there's only so much you can do, but we can try to make it a little easier on them. But they have to go through it. So just like we did, just like you did. And it is, someone is really struggling with this topic. But it also is a topic that my universal energy sources decided to come back to, I think, because it relates to harmony. It relates to us going out of the dominance era and into the era of harmony. And so there's probably several reasons that this kind of surfaced and I got the transmission for it. Anyway, so thank you so much for being here. Please stay tuned because there's a lot more to come.